In this video, I've been asked to look at starting a job. Now, in terms of this, especially if you've worked before and especially if you've worked in a similar field, starting a new job can be like playing a very familiar game but with slightly unfamiliar rules. That is, you'll be quite aware of what you have to do in general, but you may not be aware of the specifics as to how that new company actually likes to do things. So the first thing to do, in fact, is actually have a look at my book, Be a Great Manager Now. But the chapter 1 in this book covers some of the key things you need to look for. And you could write yourself a checklist of some of these things. The first is look for the policies and procedures. These are often found on the intranet, and that is the company's own website, which is visible only to the company. The policies such as standard operating procedures, things like budgeting, holiday, travel, and so on are often all found there. Now, you can't be expected to look at every single one of them, but maybe look at a choice few, depending on the role you're taking. If, for example, you are starting work as a teacher, you might want to look at things like the school's disciplinary policy. You might want to think about, do teachers call parents if they are dealing with a dispute in the classroom, or something like that. Those are the kind of things that will help you operate on a day-to-day basis. If you are a manager, you might wish to look at when do you need to sign off the budget forms by? Can you claim travel expenses? How much can you claim? And so on. So policies and procedures are the first thing. When it comes to some of the day-to-day running as well, if you're lucky, you might have a handover. If you aren't, then you might have to work things out for yourself. But even if you do, it's not that people are trying to hide anything from you, but they may just be so habitually accustomed to doing certain things, they forget to say. So ask if there's anything you're unsure of. If you need to know whether people contribute to a tea fund, if you need to know where people go at break times, if you need to know where the fire exits are, don't forget to ask. People aren't trying to hide things. As I said, they may just simply have forgotten to say something. Prepare. If you haven't already been to the venue, because you might have been interviewed in a different place, you might have had an overnight interview or something like that at a hotel where you've had to meet graduates and you've had to do assessment days and so on, then that's absolutely fine. But try and be familiar with your commute. Be familiar with where to park or how public transport's going to work. And also by going to see how that office or that particular establishment runs during the day, you get to be aware a little bit more of things like dress codes. These are unspoken rules, but it's worth knowing. And similarly, when it comes to unspoken rules, have a think about whether people do have a dress down Friday or a pizza Wednesday or whatever it might be, just so you can be prepared. Finally, one of the big things is don't put too much pressure on yourself. You don't need to be absolutely perfect. And in actual fact, you probably won't ever be. Partly because when it comes to perfection, that's something which, if you ever attain it, it will only be to your standard. That will not, I will guarantee you, be to anybody else's standard, because perfection is subjective. So first of all, take that pressure off right away. Aim for excellence, of course, and that means there are no shortcuts. That does mean check out the procedures, check out the policies, be aware of how you're supposed to react, what you might need to wear, and so on. Do your homework. But when it comes to actually doing the job, be prepared to make a few mistakes, not too many, or at least try not to, hence why you need to ask. But learning is something that you can not only embed and model for other people, but it's something that helps you grow as a person. If you were to be absolutely perfect straight away, especially as a teacher, a mentor, a coach, a manager, then how on earth are you supposed to understand when somebody else is struggling? So think of yourself as human. Allow yourself to learn as you go. Allow yourself to make mistakes and learn from them. Don't try and lock them away. Think about them, because that way you'll avoid making them in future. Take that pressure off yourself and try and enjoy a lot of that journey, and all the very best in starting a new job.